All right, so today is a bit of a different video because I didn't even know this happened until literally yesterday. But apparently CrunchyRoll had a bit of a data breach. Now, I do want to demystify something real quick. It wasn't CrunchyRoll directly per se, it was actually TELUS Direct. But Crunchyroll is under them, so naturally, if you get through TELUS Direct, you get access to whatever's under them. So it turns out it was Crunchyroll. So quickly from this tweet here, it says, it's being reported that Crunchyroll had a data breach. The breach happened on March 12th, 2026, and the threat actor was able to pull 100 gigabytes of personal identifiable data, IP addresses, email addresses, credit card details, and more. Crunchyroll hasn't publicly disclosed the breach, so I'd suggest you guys reset your passwords and watch your bank accounts now if you haven't. So like I said, it wasn't Crunchyroll directly, it was actually TELUS Direct. And so when that happens, of course, every time there's a breach, you're actually required by law to notify your user base because your user base needs to change their passwords, their banking information, all that stuff. So that's kind of like the whole idea when it comes to it. But at the end of the day, sometimes companies don't tell you, sometimes the breach is small, but yeah, so let's actually take a look into the story a bit more because it's a bit of a weird one, or not a weird one, but it's kind of like your standard case of like cybersecurity breaches. But I still want to take a look at it anyway because there's about 17 million people who use Crunchyroll, so that's a lot of people. And despite my issues with Crunchyroll, like I've covered them in the past, and they still are a garbage company. I still want to take a look at this because this is user data now. It's not so much about the company itself; it's about people being affected. Now, this article I have here starts off by saying, the Sony-owned anime streaming service Crunchyroll has allegedly been hacked. A threat actor has allegedly exfiltrated around 100 gigabytes of user data from the streamer. Attackers contacted a cybersecurity letter, Cyber Digest, and claimed they had gained access to Crunchyroll's data through a compromised employee at its Vancouver-based business process outsourcing partner, TELUS. Remember what I said earlier? TELUS acknowledged a data security incident last week in which an unauthorized party accessed a limited number of its systems. The company said it is investigating the issue, adding there is no evidence of disruption to customer connectivity or services. So, interesting that they say that because, like I said, by law, they are literally obligated to tell you if a breach occurs. So, what Crunchyroll data has been stolen? The alleged breach occurred on March 12th, 2026, and has not been publicly confirmed by Crunchyroll at the time of publication, and to my knowledge, it hasn't been confirmed even up to now. According to information shared with Cyber Digest, the attacker breached systems when a TELUS employee executed malware on their workstation. This reportedly allowed the attacker to establish initial access and move laterally into Crunchyroll's internal systems. The attacker claims the data was extracted from Crunchyroll's analytics systems and support tools, and the among stolen data are IP addresses, email addresses, credit card details, customer analytics data, PII. While there is no confirmation from the company, it is hard to evaluate the scope of the breach. If the breach is confirmed to be legitimate, the data exposure increases the risks of financial fraud, identity theft, and social engineering attacks for the affected individuals, the Cyber News research team explained. The threat actor stated that Crunchyroll quickly detected the access and revoked it within 24 hours. So people didn't. So that's something that's actually nobody noted. Actually, it's that it was actually revoked within 24 hours. So if there was a breach, like I said, they would tell you, or at least they should tell you. Sorry. However, the volume of data allegedly stolen suggests the operation was well planned and the short time window was enough to exfiltrate information. And so that's kind of like where we're at now. So that is kind of like so essentially from what I'm understanding, at least based off of what I've just read, that's how I promise you, that's how 99% of cyber attacks like start. It's always through a very weak link in your in like your company base. So usually your random intern might just open an email, and that is why at work, especially if you work for like a higher tier company, you will always have to deal with there's two constants, okay? There's like the workplace harassment videos that you have to watch, and sorry, those videos are crazy. And there's the cybersecurity one because that is a big thing because trust me, ransoming off of companies is like one of the biggest money makers if you get the chance. Anyways, but we'll go into that later. So apparently, we're going to go into now, who are Shiny Hunters? So, active since 2020, Shiny Hunters has been linked to a string of high-profile hacks targeting major companies around the world. It has recently caused chaos after breaching the Dutch telecom provider Odido. A compromise of its customer relationship management system left nearly 7 million customers exposed, which is nearly a third of the country's population. After negotiations failed, the attackers leaked the stolen data online, which I will not show you. Starting this year, Shiny Hunters reportedly ran an active voice phishing campaign to steal single sign-on SSO credentials for Okta, Microsoft, and Google accounts. So lots of information in there. Last week, the gang targeted the identity protection firm Aura with a phishing attack and extracted 900,000 user records. The gang has also claimed breaches at Bumble, Match Group, which operates Hinge, Match, and OkCupid, and Panera Bread. That is a random one. But anyways, so understanding this, right? These are pretty much like, I don't say well-trained hackers, but these are hackers. These are just people who exclusively target big corporations. Because why do they do it, you may ask? Well, because it's easy money. It's literally very easy money to get it. And now, let's actually take a look into. So we'll look at these breaches in a bit, but I do want to show the TELUS Digital cybersecurity incident. So they actually have an official statement on their website. So I'm going to read this for you guys here as well. And it says, TELUS Digital is investigating a cybersecurity incident involving unauthorized access to a limited number of our systems. Upon discovery, we took immediate steps to adjust the unauthorized activity and secure our systems against further intrusion. We are actively managing the situation and continue to monitor it closely. All business operations within TELUS Digital remain fully operational, and there is no evidence of disruption to customer connectivity or services. As part of our response, we have engaged leading cyber forensic experts to support our investigation, and we are working with law enforcement. We have implemented additional security measures to further safeguard our systems and environment. As our investigation progresses, we are notifying any impacted customers as appropriate. The security of our customers' information continues to be our highest priority. So I have to also preface as well, because I did see a lot of people online were like pushing CrunchyRoll got hacked. But when you read between the lines a little bit more, or you just do even a simple Google search, you'll see that it did happen, but it's like this the system is off. Now, of course, anytime this happens, like change your passwords. If you change your passwords, of course, especially if your password is like my dog 45, like that's not a very strong password. So always do stuff like that. However, it's also very important to highlight stuff like this because, especially on places like Twitter, it's very, very easy to get a lot of people say something, which is, it is true, but it's a bit more than that. Because if it was just Crunchyroll that got hacked, then, it's a bit different. But it was Crunchyroll's like parent company, which in turn led to it. So it's not so much Crunchyroll hacks, like the parent company got hacked, and by proxy, they also got some information stolen, but it was revoked in like 24 hours. So at least they have some competency in terms of that. So anyways, now let's look into some of these other data breaches that occurred because, yeah, Shiny Hunters is kind of actually a bit more high profile than I thought. So let's take a peek. So let's start off with this Odido one because this one's very concerning actually. And so luckily mipwned.com gave us a really good idea of what's going on. So if we take a peek here actually, and it's really kind of small for me to read, but in February 2026, Dutch telco Odido was the victim of a data breach and subsequent extortion attempt shortly after a total of 6 million unique email addresses were published across 4 separate data releases over consecutive days. The exposed data includes names, physical addresses, phone numbers, bank account numbers, dates of birth, customer service notes, and passport, driver's license, and European national ID numbers. Odido has published a disclosure notice, including an FAQ to support affected customers, and they even give you an overview. So it happened, well, of course, in February 2026, and so naturally, 6.1 million people is quite a lot of people to get breached. And remember, what hackers really want is anything that can tie to your personal information. So bank accounts is probably the big one, and your government ID is probably the second. Like those two if you can get those two off of somebody, you basically in the eyes of like a system, you're basically that person. And so that's where a lot of identity theft comes in. And so that's kind of a big one. And especially from a place like a telecom, it's like, well, yeah, you have to, if you want to have a phone number, you got to give out your name and stuff. It's just comes with the practice. And so that's kind of like where that ends up now. And so there's so many high string, we saw it earlier, but there's so many high string attacks that they've done. It's kind of insane to me. And so even if we go to like another one, we talk about the Aura data breach. This one talks about an unauthorized third party gained access to a data set containing roughly 900,000 records of personal information held by Aura, a provider of identity theft protection services. The breach reportedly occurred after an Aura employee fell victim to a voice phishing scam or phishing attack. Reporting from Bleeping Customer indicates that Shiny Hunters, a cyber criminal group, is taking credit for the incident, claiming it has exfiltrated approximately 12 gigabytes of data, including personally identifiable information and corporate data. And Aura has stated that most of the exposed data came from a marketing tool it acquired in 2021 and primarily included names and email addresses. However, the company also confirmed that more detailed contact information, such as names, email addresses, phone numbers, and physical addresses was exposed up to 350,000 current and former customers. And so analysts by I have been pwned suggest that IP addresses and customer service notes have been breached as well. And so that's kind of like that's another big move that happened. And we can keep going on. It also tells you more. It tells you more about what data. So it's like 900,000 unique emails, 20,000 current customers, 50,000 former customers, and all of that. And so, it's just like, yeah. But I want to ask you a question. As I've been doing this, we're going to make this a bit interactive. So what is the common thread between all of these attacks? What occurs every single time that, a breach occurs? Well, it happens because somebody at the company clicks on an email that they really shouldn't have. And because, that happens, they get access to stuff really quickly. So that's all it really takes nowadays. And so there's a little bit of a subreddit called r/scams, and they actually have a bunch of these, like, especially like in the older days, well, not older, but maybe what's it, 5-6 years ago. They have a whole array of people who have like different emails they've gotten, and so before I show you these emails, there's something about phishing scams that you have to always keep in mind, and this is how you really avoid getting scammed. So the first two things is that one, when it comes to phishing, they always want you to do it as fast as possible. So there's always a sense of urgency. So if you've gotten an email, tell me this email sounds familiar. Your banking information has been breached. Please put in your password over here so we can resolve the issue. And so if you rush and do it, you're like, oh my God, my information. But when this happens, you have to sit back a bit and ask yourself, wait, did it actually get breached? Did I go to the proper channel to see if there was any malpractice on my programs or on my bank account? That's the first way. That's your first step. Literally slowing down and asking yourself is like, is this valid? Is like first thing. And the second thing is like, and the second thing you have to do is like, you could also ask yourself, why am I getting this email in the first place? Because I know at least where I live, when it comes down to like certain stuff, when it comes to your revenue, they mail it to you. So that's how I know if I get a message from like the revenue or the IRS or something. It's like, dude, they mail it to you. They mail you your stuff. So it can't be that. And with your bank account, especially with my bank account, there's so much security on it and so much like protections on it. So it's like, hopefully, knock on wood, I don't get hacked or anything, but it's like not that there's any money to steal, but I'm just saying there's always measures in place. So that's what will occur in terms of that. So that's like the big thing. And so I'm going to show you a couple examples here, and you'll literally see the pattern like in an instant. Example 1. Hey, some time ago, your computer was infected with my private malware, Rat. I know at the time of infection, your passwords was blank. My malware gave me full access to all your accounts, contacts, and it was also possible to spy on you over your webcam. Sometimes when I was bored, I was spying on you. Then once you started to satisfying yourself. At first, I didn't knew how to react as I was shocked. Then I decided to record you. I checked on Google and found this software, Bandicam, and it did the job. And so if you actually go down, it says pay exactly $740 in Bitcoin, which actually, I'm pretty sure the value went down now. But it's easy to buy Bitcoin here. Here's the example. So that's like an example of somebody who wants to do that. And so what did they have here? They say they have your information, they have this and that, and you have to pay me for it to happen. And for the record, also something interesting, or something you should never do. Never give cyber criminals like anything. If they want to, for example, if my schlong is on the internet and someone wants to leak it, I'm gonna say, go ahead, drop it. That's gonna be a little embarrassing, but still, drop my schlong if you really think it's gonna kill me. Go for it. Yeah, so that's one thing. And so I'll show you another email. So here it says, I know blank is one of your password on day of hack. Let's get direct to the point. Not one person has paid me to check about you. You do not know me, and you're probably thinking, why are you getting this email? In fact, I actually placed a malware on the adult vids, or prawn website, and you know what? You visited this site to experience fun. When you were viewing videos, your browser started out as a RDP having a keylogger, which provided me with accessibility to your display and webcam. After that, my malware obtained one of your contacts from your messenger, Facebook, as well as email account. After that, I created a double screen video. First part shows the video you were viewing, and second part displays the recording of your cam, and it's you. Best solution would be to pay me $1,013. And oh, what's this? Another Bitcoin address. So that's kind of like the thing. And allegedly, I'm saying allegedly, these are from Shiny Hunters as well. So if they start out pretty small, this is kind of like very standard when it comes into emails. And so, what have we learned today? Always pay attention to urgency. Ask yourself the question: why am I getting sent this in the first place? And where is the salute, and where's like the payment? Because I always ask for payment. And so that's how you basically avoid a scam at all times. Now, of course, I know like older people are more prone to scams, so try to educate them as much as possible. And some people are naive enough, and so because the way these breaches happened was, guess what? It was an employee. It wasn't they didn't hack through the firewall. Then it's because of an employee. And so that's what it is. That's how you get people. And there's also stuff like social engineering, but that's stuff you guys can go look up for yourselves. I'm just here to give you guys information. And so that's basically that. So when it comes down to phishing scams, just ask yourself some questions and be on the lookout. And of course, pay attention in your cybersecurity course at work, because they give out so many of these that you just got to be ready for it. So yeah, pretty interesting, right? But anyways, I just wanted to like demystify some stuff about not demystify, but I just wanted to like bring some clarity to this, because I saw online people were kind of talking about this, and they're kind of like saying, "Oh, CrunchyRoll got hacked." I was like, it's not as straightforward as that. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow my social in the description below. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.